NFL football is just what we expected yesterday, especially the Chiefs overcoming a 8-point deficit to the Chargers, winning in overtime. And then the Patriots, are they fine without Tom Brady? Even though they lost 35-30, Cam Newton played one of his best games we've seen in a while. I got Charlie Baldy to talk some football with me. Charlie, what's up, bro?
Not much. Unfortunately for us, our JETS
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that today. But to talk about the Chiefs game, they struggled in the first half significantly. Mahomes was contained, but in the second half, Mahomes looked like Mahomes. Are they like not the juggernaut that we thought originally in the beginning of the season that they were going to coast to the Super Bowl?
I wouldn't say not the juggernaut. I think, it's a divisional game on the road. The Chargers just opened up a brand new stadium. I'm sure they were like pumped up, even though there were no fans. I'm sure they're pumped up. This is like their first real stadium in, years. So I think the Chargers are just coming out to play. People are tired of the Chiefs headlines, and they had a rookie QB. They're going to play hard for him. Herbert looked really good. I was really impressed. And as the game went on, Pat Mahomes, just did his thing. He threw a beautiful deep ball to Tyreek Hill. I think that set up the game-tying field goal, if I'm not mistaken, or got them to within a field goal. So I think the Chiefs will always be the juggernaut, but I wouldn't have any worries.
Here's the thing with the Chiefs. The Chiefs are the team we thought before the season, and yes, they are the juggernaut and the clear-out favorites to win the Super Bowl this year. They are just fine. This is a divisional game. Let's not pretend that in a divisional game, no matter what the circumstances are, no matter how lopsided the matchup may be, it's always going to be a tight game. Us as Jet fans, we know in the past how the Jets will always play the Pats tough, especially at home. It's always a one-possession game. Yeah, they usually lose, but it's always going to be a tight game. If we're not going to ignore the fact that there's been no OTAs, no training camp, no preseason, let's not act like that's not going to affect players, especially superstars, and one guy like Patrick Mahomes, who is the best player in the NFL. But the thing was, there's not a single second in that game where I doubted that the Chiefs weren't going to win that game. Pat Mahomes has that it factor. He's that guy. He reminds me of Brady and Belichick. At any point in the game, they're going to strike, and whatever the circumstance is, they're going to win. You just know they're going to win. That was the same thing with the Chiefs. Maybe I thought that I was a little worried that they weren't going to cover the 9-point spread, which they actually didn't. But you knew no matter whatever the circumstance was in the second half, the best player in the NFL was going to rise to the occasion and be the best player come the second half. That touchdown pass to Tyreek Hill, I mean, wow! On the run, throwing a bomb on the dot, and in overtime, the Chargers deciding to punt the ball away and give the ball back to Patrick Mahomes. He's driving down the field enough to get Harrison Butker in field goal range. Same thing before regulation. You knew that he was driving down the field. They would have scored a touchdown. It wouldn't even went to overtime, but it was penalty after penalty, which still restricted them, and they still made it, I think, pretty close to the red zone. So the Chiefs are just fine. Patrick Mahomes is the guy you thought he was.
Yeah, a quick thing I want to touch on that you mentioned was, when Herbert threw that interception where it was third down and he was wide open but decided to throw across his body, and I forgot who picked it off. That was when I knew, you don't want Pat Mahomes to have the ball in his hand, trailing. I mean, Chiefs are so good with their aerial attack, probably the best in the league. So it was at that point where I knew that the Chiefs were going to win. And Harrison Butker, oh my God, I think he hit 2
50-yard field goals in a row. They all didn't count, obviously, but
unbelievable.
2 58s in a row.
Unbelievable. So, I mean, I think the Chiefs will always put up points no matter what. I'll be very shocked if they're, held to under 20 throughout the season in any game.
What you real quick before we move on? What do you think of Justin Herbert's debut? And it was an unexpected start. His first time stepping on a football field, goes against the best quarterback in the NFL, and basically went toe to toe with him throughout the game.
I was very impressed. I wasn't big on Herbert coming out of college. I think there were some areas where he lacked here and there, but as the game went on, you show that he has the heart, to do his thing. And he did make a couple bad throws, like I just mentioned. That interception was just bad. He should have just ran it for the first down. I think that would have probably made the Chargers win. So he's gonna have those rookie errors, but to go out there 5 minutes before the game, you find out that you're starting against the defending Super Bowl champions. The kid showed a lot of pride, and I was very impressed.
If I'm a Chargers fan, I feel real good that I think we just found our guy long term. But to move on, the Patriots-Seahawks game, they had The Seahawks had a disastrous start. Russell Wilson, oh my God, with the virtuoso that he put on. But the Patriots offense, they didn't struggle. Last year, the whole narrative was Tom Brady had no help. It didn't look like that last night. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on Cam Newton? Are the Patriots offense like fine without Brady there?
Listen, Pat Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league, no, without a doubt. But Russell Wilson is a close second. I will say that much. There were some beautiful throws he made last night, but Cam impressed me without a doubt. I know the Seahawks secondary is pretty bad, but I think this was probably the best aerial performance of Cam Newton I've seen throughout his career. He was throwing darts downfield and with accuracy. I couldn't believe my eyes. I think going to New England was probably the best fit for him because Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels know how to use him to know how to use his abilities, and they're going to get the most out of him. And so that last night, they know when to run to make him, run, throw. Although that last play was not a smart decision to make him run, but Cam has impressed, and I know he's played two okay defenses so far. I would like to see what he does against a better defense, one that will probably make him throw more, but his arm looked really good. For a guy coming off major shoulder surgery, he's looked really good.
I mean, I want to give a shout out to Cam Newton and Bill Belichick. Again, there's no OTAs, no training camp, no preseason, and the way Bill Belichick has redesigned the offense for Cam Newton, look how versatile they made him. They made Cam Newton with his option plays. He had a few in the red zone that he scored on touchdowns with. I loved their play design. But you need a huge apology to Julian Edelman, 8 catches, 179 yards. He lit up the Seattle defense. Yeah, he dropped the game-winning touchdown. I understand that. He did drop the game-winning touchdown. But the last play, Bill Belichick just he laid an egg there. That was the worst design possible. A guy as versatile as Cam Newton is between throwing and running, and he's a physical freak. The dude's like 6'5", 260. Have some sort of option. I would say, you know what? You're our guy. You're our quarterback. I want you to make a play. Have a little bootleg. Have a little play action, and you roll out. And if you think you could run, or try to dump it to a tight end or something. But I think that play call is disgusting. But in terms of, are they fine without Brady? They're fine in the regular season without Brady. I think they could still win the AFC East. I think they'll still be a 10-ish. I think between 8 and 10-win team is pretty realistic. Again, they have so many guys who opted out this year. But I think that the Patriots still can win the AFC East. And once playoff time comes, no, the Patriots will get exposed. They're not the same guy without Tom Brady. Tom Brady is a different dude once the playoff time starts. That's where great quarterbacks, that's where all great players are going to leave their mark. So, yeah, I think the Patriots can win the AFC East. I think they can squeeze into the playoffs, but it definitely ends there. The Super Bowl aspirations, definitely you could throw that out the window.
Well, yeah, I think we'll see Cam progress as the season goes on, and I think we'll see the playbook open up more. I think right now he's very limited because, as you said, there was no OTAs, no practices. He's learning on the fly. I think one of the Patriots offensive linemen, if I'm not mistaken, were saying that this guy is on the team playing, just studying the playbook.
Right.
So I think the Patriots offense will get more diverse as the season carries on. But to go back, I think Pete Carroll had a terrible decision on the 3rd and 1 where he decided to air it out. I think you got to run the ball, check the clock. But then at the end, the Seahawks knew they were going to run the ball. All of us knew they sold out for the run, and that's why they stopped Cam before he even got back to the line of scrimmage. I think that option, you got to open it up. Trust Cam. Spread out guys wide. If he has nothing open, Cam could easily just run it right in. So I was surprised they really set up with a quarterback. I guess run. I don't even know what the word for it is, but I think it was a terrible play call. And Julian Edelman did cook, but you know what? It was against Jamal Adams, who was probably one of the worst cover safeties in the NFL, and we saw that on display last night. He was good in the run game. I'll give him his props. Coming off the edge, but when he's in coverage, he gets burned.
Jamal Adams got cooked, but that's not his game. His game is making plays in the backfield, whether it's pass rushing or run stopping. That's what he does. We know he's not a cover safety. He's not a free safety, and he's not a cornerback. But to talk on that 3rd and 1 that Russell Wilson aired it out, I could understand people automatically criticizing Pete Carroll for that it's not a good move. But almost in this situation, Russell Wilson's the clear MVP. I know it's through 2 weeks. He's the clear MVP. 9 touchdowns, 1 interception, 11 incomplete passes. Think about that. 9 touchdowns, 11 incomplete passes. I'm a great Madden player. Don't get me wrong, but I can't put up those type numbers. I'm going to be completely honest right here. But the reason why I'm for him airing it out on that, you got to trust him. When you're playing that good, better than Madden numbers, you have to trust your quarterback. Yeah, was it the smartest decision? No. But look at his touchdown to Tyler Lockett. Look at his touchdown to DK Metcalf. Those were bombs. Those were, I think, 55, 60-yard passes. So, you know what? In that situation, I'm going to let Russell Wilson make the decision. If that's what he thought was the best play, that's what he thought was the best play. Yeah, ideally, I understand that people aren't going to like it. But at that point, you still have to trust them.
Well, I didn't like it for the simple fact that because it was incomplete, you stopped the clock and you let the Patriots, keep the timeout, which they definitely needed all their timeouts on that drive. So that was the one mistake. I think Pete Carroll tries to do the opposite of what you expect, and that's going back to his USC days, and I know that being a US.
2014, I know. Oh, God.
Yeah, so what are you going to do? But you know what? Seattle won at the end of the day. I think the Patriots could be a legit team going forward.
Real quick before we wrap up, any words to Adam Gase?
Pack your bags, baby, because you are not making it past my birthday. I will say that. The Jets finally play Monday Night Football on my birthday, but unfortunately we can't go to the game because of COVID and whatnot. But you know what? He's not making it past week 9. This team could legit start out maybe like 0-7. 0-8, 0-9. I really don't see how Christopher Johnson. I know you went out and called him a gifted offensive mind. I don't even know what the hell he called him. It was just pure throw up at that point. But you know what? He's not making it. This team, they have no heart. No heart. They're not playing for anything. They look disengaged. I think that's a good way to put it. And you saw with Sam Darnold's comments, Gase is so stuck in his own ways that he won't even let his third-year quarterback make audibles. Like, what are you doing to this kid? He needs to be rolled out of the pocket. That touchdown to Braxton Berrios where the play collapsed and he threw, across his body and Berrios scored for the touchdown. That's what we need to see more of. But this offense is so stagnant. You have 2 capable tight ends. You're not even running 2 tight end sets. Your wide receiver, we could play wide receiver for the Jets at this point. Gase has to get creative, and you're not seeing it, and I think he's going to get fired real soon.
Real quick, we could go on about how bad the Jets are till the cows come home. But I'm going to give the best – anyone who bets out there, I will give you the best advice you will ever hear, and I could actually literally help you make money every single Sunday. Always bet against the Jets, whether it's the money line or the spread. You could always rely on the Jets losing or playing poorly to make you money. Don't ever put your money on the Jets to ever try to make you money. Don't ever rely on that because – almost every single time you will fail. That's probably the best advice I could give. But that's going to wrap up today. Charlie, always a pleasure talking football with you. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, sir. We're going for the number 1 pick to trade down. I can't.
Thanks for watching the Falco Takeaway. For more daily sports takes, please follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And be sure to check me out on 6048 Sports via Instagram and Twitter, as well as the Sports Hit List on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook.